Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything coming at you with another one of my War Thunder videos. And in this video, what we're going to talk about is my personal collection of the best planes at each battle rating. Now, this is my personal opinion, in my own opinion of what I've flown and what I have in my hangars. So some of you might have different opinions. Remember, this is just my opinion. Now let's start off with and understand that there's a lot of good planes at each of the battle ratings. I'm just taking what my favorite plane to fly at that battle rating is. And I'm actually going to start at battle rating 1.0 because the lowest plane that you can find is usually your reserve planes or something like that, and those are all usually biplanes or what have you, and they're usually 1.0. All right, so our first, and we're just going to go down the line, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of history and tell you why I like the plane. All right, so now at battle rating 1. At battle rating 1, we have the Nimrod Mark II. The Nimrod Mark II is in your British tier, and it is a naval fighter biplane. It has two 7.7 millimeter machine guns, which are basically the 303s, and 1,200 rounds of ammunition, which is quite a bit of ammunition that you'll be able to use during your time gaming, or in the air. You're not going to run out of ammo anytime soon. And because it's a biplane, a lot of the biplanes have really quick turn times, so you can actually get on the tail of someone real easily and actually put those guns to good use. Now, the reason why I like the Nimrod, because hey, I'm a big fan of naval aviation. It has an arrestor hook. It also has the swept back wings to provide excellent lift off of the carrier and turn times. The Hawker Nimrod Mark II actually entered service in 1934, and it was later replaced by the Gladiator before World War II had even begun. All right, battle rating 1.3. At battle rating 1.3, we make a jump over to the United States planes, and we pull up the P-36 Alpha Hawk. This is Curtiss P-36A Hawk. Is produced and brought into the war in 1938. The British Commonwealth versions were called the Mohawk, and some were used by the French and other nations. The only combat the U.S. Hawks saw were the 5 from the Enterprise who fought in Pearl Harbor and shot down 2 Zeros and lost 1 Hawk. The Curtiss P-36A Hawk at this battle rating has supreme firepower. It has a Browning M2 50 caliber machine gun, as well as the Browning 7.62 millimeter machine gun, with enough ammo to take down any aircraft. It does have a fairly high maximum speed of 327 miles per hour, and a really good turn time. You might be tempted to zoom and boom with this aircraft, but once you get into a dive with this aircraft, it's very hard for you to pull out of it. So I would recommend gentle dives and sloped attacks, and yes, get involved in turning wars, because it has a very tight turn radius. Battle rating 1.7. At battle rating 1.7, we stay with the American tree, and we take a step back, and we look at the Brewster Buffalo, the F2A1. Now, the Brewster Buffalo was obsolete at the start of the war, The Marines actually used them extensively in Wake and at Midway. And they saw that they were being a little bit outperformed by the Zeros, and they needed to actually get the F4Fs involved. But in War Thunder at battle rating 1.7, the Brewster Buffalo is actually quite impressive with 3 50 caliber machine guns and a 7.62 machine gun. It has relatively fast max speed. It can climb high at 26,000 feet, and it has a reasonable turn time of 17 seconds. So this would be a good plane to have to, especially if you enjoy naval fighters like I do.
Returning to the base.
All right, let's take a look at battle rating 2. All right, we're now into battle rating 2, and that's when you're going to start seeing your World War II planes. And we are now in back to the British tree, and we are looking at the Hawker Hurricane Mark II Bravo. That's one of my favorites. One of the reasons why I like it is because it actually is equipped with 12, yes, count them, 12 303 machine guns. And you can also equip bombs on it. The Hawker Hurricane, it is very fast. The thick wings actually cause a lot of drag, so without your engine power, you will actually slow down very quickly. It has a pretty high maximum altitude of 37,000 feet. It has a reasonable turn rate, but you'll notice that the Hawker Hurricane can outturn even a Spitfire or a 109 at this tier. So it's very surprising that this big, bulky looking plane is actually going to be able to outturn some of these planes that are classified as turn fighters. Not the 109. The 109 is a dive bomber or a boom and zoomer. Now you, as a Hawker pilot, you will want to hit the deck, forcing the 109 down to your level, keeping him unable to boom and zoom, and then you will, when he's getting ready to do his dive on you, you'll want to turn into the attack, and with a constant turn. And the 109 will not be able to turn and dive at the same time without entering into a turning war with you. And as soon as it enters a turning war with you, the Hawker Hurricane will be able to outturn and get on the 109's tail. Now, if you did not know this, a little history. The Hurricane, even though the Spitfire is probably more famous or more iconic than the Hurricane actually accounted for 60%, that's right, I did say 60% of the victories in the Battle of Britain. There were also Hurricanes sent to Russia using the Lend-Lease. All right, let's talk about battle rating 2.3. All right, in battle rating 2.3, we're going back to the Americans, and we are going to pick my favorite plane in all of War Thunder, in all of World War II. It is the Wildcat. It is the Grumman F4F3 Grumman Wildcat. It was used by a lot of different nations, but in the British Commonwealth and in the Royal Navy, it's called the Martlet. And the Martlet, they had Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. The Grumman Wildcat replaced the Buffalo, and in some squadrons you had a mixture of Buffaloes and Wildcats until eventually the Wildcats replaced all of the Buffaloes. Now, it has 4 50 caliber machine guns with 1,400 rounds. That's 350 rounds each. And that's enough to put down any type of plane at any time. And it does come with a variety of different ammo types. And it has a reasonable climb rate. It's not an extremely high altitude fighter. It's only 39,000 feet. It has a good turn time. It has 18-second turn time. And it actually is very rugged and durable and armored. And it was very successful in the Pacific against the Zero once they developed a tactic called the Thatch Weave. One thing I have noticed about the Wildcat is when you're flying it, it flies very steady. It doesn't rock. The wings don't, rock around. It's a very smooth, steady flight. You can aim with the Wildcat very easily. You can also land very easily with the Wildcat, especially on a carrier. With a little bit of practice, you can hit those carrier landings every time, and it actually will slow down in a landing to hit those carriers. You almost don't even need an arrestor hook. All right, let's talk about battle rating 2.7. At battle rating 2.7, you get the P-40, or the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. Now the P-40 Warhawk, you probably recognize it from the volunteer group that flew in China called the Flying Tigers. It's very iconic. That's where you probably recognize this plane. It is the third largest produced plane of, third largest produced fighter of World War II by the U.S., right behind the P-51 and the P-47. It was exported to both Britain and Russia, and they called the plane the Tomahawk. Now, the Tomahawk, or the Warhawk, or the Kitty Hawk, had poor performance at high altitude. So it could not compete with the 109s and the 190s at high altitude. So the majority of its combat experience, or the theaters that it was used the most in, was the desert operations and also the Pacific theaters. Now, the Curtiss Kitty Hawk has 6, yes, that's right, 6 .50 caliber machine guns. That is quite a bit. It's a fairly fast aircraft at 375 miles per hour, and it has a reasonable turn time of 18 seconds, and it has a low maximum altitude of 31,000. I personally like to use, I'm a low altitude turn fighter pilot. That's what I like to do, and so the Kitty Hawk falls right into my play style. I like to fly low, and I like to force my opponent to enter a turn war with me. That's why I like the F4F, that's why I like the Hurricane, that's why I like the Buffalo. That type of battle is my favorite style of battle. Yes, I understand the boom and zoomers do their thing and the high altitude guys do their thing, but I prefer to force you to come down onto the ground, so you can't use like yo-yos against me, because the ground would impede your tactics. And that was the P-40 Curtiss Warhawk. Alright, and the last battle rating we're going to talk about today in this video is battle rating 3.0. Now 3.0, I'm going to jump into the British tree, but I struggled between two planes at 3.0. And the Sea Hurricane Mark 1C is the winner. The other one was the Spitfire 2 Bravo, but I'm going to tell you the Sea Hurricane Mark 1 Charlie won over, because Again, it's a low altitude winner. It only has a max altitude of 36,000 feet. It has an extremely tight turn time of 17 seconds. And it has 4 Mark II Hispanos, 20 millimeter Mark II Hispanos, 500 rounds. And those cannons can tear apart bombers, light pillboxes, yaks, anything, what do you call them? Stukas. Basically any type of plane. You put 4 20 millimeter Hispanos on them, they are going down in a ball of flames. Not only that, it's a very steady, sturdy plane, and historically, the Mark I Charlie had the Merlin 3 engine, and the Merlin 3 engine actually gives the plane a power boost at lower altitudes. And then halfway through the war, close to the war, when the more powerful and more equipped and more high-tech planes started to come out, the Hurricane 1 Charlie was redesignated as a ground attack vehicle, and so it adopted the nickname Hurrah Bomber.
Starting attack!
And that was the first of possibly 3 videos. This one was battle rating 1 through 3. My second video will be battle ratings 3.3 and up to possibly 6, because currently that's where I'm at in battle ratings. My planes are sitting at battle rating 6. And once I get some planes higher than battle rating 6, some of the jets and some of the late tier 4 planes, then I will have a third video ready for you with those. So expect to see a second half of this video where you can get battle ratings 3.3 through 6 and higher ones later. And I really appreciate all you guys coming out and checking out my videos.
Yes,
please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to donate. And thank you, and I'll see you in the air.